Rugby Championship, round one, team of the week, folks. Good week for the Boks and the Pumas, less so for the Wallabies and the ABs. Let's pick 15 guys who stood out at the weekend, go through some stats. You know, I love me a stat. And you guys can let us know your thoughts on who your standout players of the week were. Props. Surprise, surprise, I am going to start with one of the South Africans. Oxenche on the loose head side was absolutely bossing that scrum. If I remember rightly, Alatoa's conceded at least 3 penalties, and basically every Aussie scrum, which was not their own feed, it was a South African feed, was a penalty to the Boks. It was dominance. 8 runs, 5 metres, 5 passes around the park, plus 9 from 11 tackles. Doesn't concede any penalties himself. Part of a big Springbok maul, which gives Sio Khaleesi a try. Ox is a hell of a player. And I would be hard-pressed not to go with his scrummaging partner, Frans Malherbe, on the tight head side, because it's a team effort. He also doesn't concede any penalties. He also is part of that scrum, which is bossing the Aussies around. He also has a great tackling rate with 7 from 7, including 2 dominant tackles. 1 run. Frans Malherbe doesn't get as many runs as some of the other props, but boy can he scrummage. Boy can he defend. Yeah. Very, very lopsided at scrum time. The Wallabies need to find some way to answer that in a week's time. Hooker, this is a little bit of a sentimental sentimental pick. If I can speak English. Augustine Creevy. He's around about my age. So it's good to see a guy my age, or more or less, kind of still knocking about on the international scene, even if he is putting the dagger blow into my All Blacks. But man, comes off the bench. Remember, he wasn't even in the July test side for Argentina. Comes off the bench, gets a close range try from a 5 metre line out for the Pumas. He has 5 carries in the limited time that he's on the field, gets 8 metres. He wins a key turnover. What an experienced guy to bring off the bench and just help you see out a game in Wellington. What a famous victory. You could see what it meant to him. There's probably, guys who made more tackles. He only had 1 from 1 in the game. He only had 1 pass. There's guys who would have had better stats than him this week, but you got to give him a bit of credit for that experience, cool-headedness, leadership that he brings from the bench and helps the Pumas see out a game. Because the All Blacks are a team traditionally that, when they're down with 10 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go, are able to find a way to get it done. But when you can bring a guy like Creevy off the bench, help you see the thing out. Locks, and I'm going to go with this fella, former World Player of the Year, Pieter-Steph du Toit, who was a late switch to lock with the withdrawal of Achia Snyman before kickoff. Boy, does that guy love to run and tackle. I don't know what he eats for breakfast. Is it biltong? In New Zealand, we'd say Weet-Bix, because it's supposed to give you energy. Pieter-Steph is an absolute energizer bunny. He gets a try where he powers over from a few metres out, hits the ball at pace when the Springboks are getting some good go-forward ball. He has a whopping 14 carries. He gets 48 metres, which is no more kind of loose forward-like than lock-like, but he's a loose forward more recently by trade. I know he's been a lock in the past. Been a while since he started a test match at lock. Gets a clean break, beats a defender, 8 passes, wins a couple of lineouts, makes 13 from 14 tackles, doesn't concede any penalties. What else do you want the guy to do? I don't know. Does a bit of everything. He does drop a couple of balls if you want something to kind of find to complain about. But heck of a shift from the former World Player of the Year. And maybe a little bit of a sentimental pick here as well, but I have managed to squeeze a New Zealander in here. And that is my man, Sam Darry. He plays for my Blues. And in a day where the All Blacks didn't have their best game, I thought Sam Darry likewise kind of ran pretty hard and he was pretty busy around the park. He had 10 carries, which is pretty busy. He doesn't have the same effectiveness as the likes of a du Toit with only 16 metres from those carries, but 10 carries is busy. He's certainly one of the All Blacks' busier guys in terms of that area of the game, even if they weren't getting the exact go forward they wanted. But for locks, those are normal numbers. That's not poor. 6 lineouts won. He's the top All Blacks guy. He's got a 100% tackle rate with 5 from 5. And he gets a try, which is not a try you're supposed to be getting, because when you think chip over the top from your fullback for your on-rushing players, it's not usually the lock who scores that try, but in this case, it is the lock who scores that try. So chasing lost causes, we see guys like Ches and Colby and whatnot do it all the time. But from a big lock on his first ever test start, that's a big effort, so he does get a try. Good effort from Sam Darry. There were some question marks going into him with this being his test debut, but I thought he was one of the bright spots, as I said, on All Blacks loss. Loose forwards, I am going to go with Ben Jason Dixon, who has made my team of the week a couple of times now. This is his first time in the Rugby Championship, obviously, but certainly in the July tests, I thought he looked good. He looks good in this one. He's credited with a try assist, but I'm pretty sure it's just that loose ball he flings back for Arendse, and Arendse basically does it all by himself. But if he gets a try assist for that one, for not letting the Wallabies swoop on the ball, give him that one. 8 runs for 12 metres. Like I said, that's kind of similar to Darry's numbers in terms of your metres per carry from a big man. But he's certainly busy around the park. 9 passes is a heck of a lot of touches for a guy in the number 7 jersey for South Africa, including an offload. And 19 from 19 tackles. When Russie says he sees a bit of Peter Steff in Ben Jason Dixon, I think it's that kind of work rate thing that he's talking about. High carries, high passes, high tackles. Even wins 4 lineouts. Like, really, really busy guy around the park. Like, that's the kind of thing you can't coach guys to just keep getting up off the ground, keep smashing guys, keep passing, keep running into contact, including 1 dominant tackle as well. So, yeah, really, really pleasing from him. Another guy from the All Blacks and Argentina game, I think you'd have to go with Pablo Matera. Speaking of busy, 20 carries from him. That's quite a lot. Not many guys get 20 carries in a game. 37 metres. So not the hugest kind of metres per carry rate in terms of a loose forward, but man, that's busy. That's more carries than Darry and Ben Jason Dixon, put together. I know that's a different game with Ben Jason Dixon, but that's just for context, man. Like, Pablo Matera was getting his hands on the ball a lot, trying to lead from the front. He beats a defender. He helps set up a try when he passes after the kind of turnover ball, puts Chocobares into a gap. Chocobares gets it to Sinti. It's try time. Matera's vision to kind of hold the ball up just long enough to draw the defensive line in and put it on through the on-rush and Chocobares. Cracking stuff. 11 from 13 tackles is fantastic. He does concede a couple of penalties. Remember, the Pumas were getting hecka penalised in that first half, but man, Matera led from the front in that one. And then another Puma in Juan Montin Gonzalez for number 8. He missed the July tests, but was back for these Rugby Championship games, and his impact, I think, was pretty noticeable. I mean, they got some good loosies into Argentina. The guys who filled in for him during July did well, but Juan Montin Gonzalez, 13 from 13 tackles, including 5 dominant tackles. I mentioned in the All Blacks kind of match review how the All Blacks weren't getting that much over the advantage line. Big part of that is a guy like Juan Montin Gonzalez. He also wins a turnover. He also has 4 runs for 19 metres, which is a solid kind of ball carrying rate, even if he didn't get his hands on the pill anywhere as near as much as a guy like Matera. Gets a clean break, beats a defender. He does also have a couple of penalties conceded, but he wins 6 lineouts. He's their top option at lineout time in this game. Really, really good player. I think still underrated, despite the fact that he's been playing well for quite some time. Doesn't kind of make it onto all those lists about kind of best players at the moment. But yeah, really, really good player. Good all-round skill set. Scrum half, I am going to go with another, if I can spell his name, another Puma and Gonzalo Bertranu. Did what you want from a number 9. Keeps the ball moving. 3 runs, 4 metres, and a defender beaten. So the running game kind of wasn't where it was at, but it was a 62 passes. Keep the ball moving, keep the ball moving, keep the ball moving. Keep the All Blacks under a bit of defensive pressure. Like, the All Blacks conceded a lot more ground than they would have liked from the Pumas ball carriers, and getting that quick ball before the All Blacks defensive line can set is Bertranu's job. They left pretty much all the kicking from hand to go from their 10s and 15s and whatnot, so it wasn't really his job to put as much boot to ball. But yeah, passing game was slick, makes 4 from 5 tackles. Did concede 1 penalty, as a lot of the Pumas guys did, especially in that first half. But yeah, very, very consistent performance from the Pumas 9. And then another Puma, and Santiago Carreras. Clutch goal kick at the end, even if he slipped, to put it beyond a try. That's the winning of the game. In total, he has 3 conversions, 4 penalties for 18 points, and he runs. Remember, he's a guy who plays in the outside back sometimes, who can, add that bit of pace to the Pumas' attack. He can be shifted out to the outside backs if they bring the likes of an Albornoz on. 9 runs, 62 metres, and a defender beaten. Certainly in terms of 10s this week, is a lot of clocking through the run meters. He has 9 kicks. As I mentioned, it wasn't really on Bertrand to kick this week. A lot of it was on Carreras. Sometimes long, sometimes contestable, kind of high balls. 7 passes from him. Doesn't concede any penalties, only the kind of 1-from-1 tackle made. But yeah, really, really sharp on attack, and kept the All Blacks defenders guessing. Midfielders, oh my goodness. How many Pumas? This is the most Pumas I've ever had in a row on this team of the week ever, I think. Santiago Chocobares. Try assist for Sinti. Remember I mentioned it's the one that Matera helped set up from that kind of turnover ball. Hits the ball at pace. Goes through the gap and puts it through to Sinti, who's able to finish. 5 runs, 38 metres, a clean break and 3 defenders beaten is a heck of a return on attack. And then defensively, 16 from 18 tackles. Like, Geordie Barrett's a pretty big dude coming at the defensive line, but he wasn't able to get that much kind of go-forward ball. None of the All Blacks attackers were able to get that much go-forward ball. Chocobares in the midfield has got a big part of that. He does concede 1 penalty, but as I said, that is a very common theme given that they conceded 10 in the first half. Speaking of guys who conceded penalties, Jesse Creel had a yellow card, which sometimes you might think kind of puts you out of contention from a team of the week because you don't want to get carded. But I couldn't ignore his contributions to the game, and that brings our run of 1, 2, 3, 4 Pumas to an end. We're back to a Bok here. Jesse Creel had a bloody good game, man. If I'm honest, I never used to like Jesse Creel in the midfield. I used to think he was kind of wasted when he was shifted from fullback. But man, how good has he been for how long now? 18 months? 2 years? Very, very... Ever since Lucanio Arm got that injury, Jesse Creel's seemingly taken it to another level. A try assist where he's kind of out wide, steps back inside, sets up the Kurtley Arons' second try. That's a hell of a midfield player. I'd love to see the Rico Ioane kind of do that kind of thing. 8 runs, 58 metres. That's a heck of a return from a guy in the 13 jumper. A clean break, beats 3 defenders, 4 passes and offload. He makes 8 from 10 tackles, including 3 dominant tackles. So to have 8 tackles and 3 of them be dominant is massive. He does have a turnover conceded, and he does get a yellow card where he's going for that intercept. That one, for me, is a genuine attempt to intercept. It's not a slap down. It's not a deliberate knock-on, even if it's ruled as a deliberate knock-on. I don't think it's a deliberate knock-on. I think he was trying to bat it up to catch it. That's the way the game is ruled. I know that's the way it is. It's just me having a little bit of a moan about the way it goes. I don't think... It's not a deliberate knock-on. It's an attempted one-handed interception, which was failed, even if the punishment is still deliberate knock-on. But still, Jesse Creel, good interventions. The Springboks theme continues with Kurtley Arons, so you'd be hard-pressed to not put him in your team of the week this week. 2 tries. The first one is insane. How does he do that? It's just loose ball. He grabs it, he avoids 2 Wallabies tackles, and then just cuts them hot knife through butter. Unbelievable. No rights to score that try, but he backs himself and he does it. The second one, that's the one that kind of Creel set up. He's just got to put the hammer down. And my son even said, he looks quite good. My son was watching the game with me when I was having a review of some of the footage. He said, Dad, that guy in the headgear, he looks quite good. And I think my son is correct. 107 metres. I think he's the only guy to get triple-digit run meters this week. 3 clean breaks, 5 defenders beaten, 4 passes and offload. Makes all of his tackles 3 from 3, including 1 dominant. Wins a turnover. In there for player of the week, for sure. Maybe Matera as well, but man. Like Kurtley Arons this game doesn't really have any of the negatives about it. Like everyone else, you can say he dropped some ball, he got penalties conceded or something, but Kurtley Arons is genuinely pretty much all positives. He was brought down before the goal line once, but I still think they kind of retained the ball, didn't they? Yeah. Right wing, I am going to go with a pick which I didn't think was going to work out, because Matthias Moroni, more of a midfielder, and he's getting on in years. I didn't think he would have the gas, especially if you put him up against Mark Talia. But he handled the game really well, Matthias Moroni. Only the 3 runs. He gets a couple of breaks, though. 3 runs, 2 clean breaks. One of them was an intercept, wasn't it? He gets himself into some space. He was never going to have the gas to go all the way. 2 clean breaks, a defender beaten, which is a good return from only 3 carries. A couple of kicks, but then also, and not something you always associate with wingers, but good defensive shift. 10 from 12 tackles. All Blacks failing to kind of get it wide around Moroni. 2 dominant tackles as well. He does have a turnover conceded, but he didn't concede any penalties. Yeah, he's a versatile player. He's always been able to kind of shift positions, but I didn't see it. Didn't see him being put on the wing, just with the amount of kind of attacking outside backs the Pumas have got. But hey, it worked out really well. And the last one I'm going to go at fullback is another Bok in LaRue. He certainly bombed 1 try, that's for sure. He had guys outside him. He could have made a try earlier on, but he didn't pass it. He kind of got caught before he was able to get the ball away. So he bombed 1 try, but I don't think you could underestimate his effect on the game. Like, he has 19 passes, which is more than Feinberg and Ngomazulu had, which is not something you would expect from your fullback, but he is that fullback who comes in at first receiver and is able to kind of find the right man with those passes. Like, for example, he's at first receiver right before the Peter Steph Dutour try. I think he passes it to Feinberg and Ngomazulu, who then they get it kind of further wide to Peter Steph, who's able to hit it at pace. So Villy's vision and just pass to get that ball wide. I think he might have passed it to Creel before Creel set up that try as well. Like, often that's Villy's thing. Like, he's not going to get any stat for that, for being the guy who passed it to the guy who got the try assist. Kind of secondary try assist, but that's Villy. So 19 passes, most from South Africa in that game. 5 kicks, 1 from 1 tackles. He's 11 runs for 49 metres, which is more than you expect from Villy at his age. Apart from that bomb try, I thought he was pretty bloody good. Almost had a try of his own, didn't he? But he forced it on the line. Yeah, pretty good shift from the veteran fullback. Some honourable mentions. I've certainly snubbed Molina, the Pumas lock, who got that try from that line-up move. That was a proper thing of beauty. Feinberg Ngomazulu pulled the strings really well. He missed the goal kick. If you can find something to complain about that guy. But nah, he had a really good game for his first start. Kolisi got a nice try. Elric Lowe did really well at number 8. Sinti scored a nice try for the Pumas. Paisami got one for the Wallabies. I haven't mentioned any Wallabies. Sorry, Wallabies. Malia at fullback for the Pumas was pretty good. Mateo Carreras, who Grant Nisbet, the New Zealand commentator, apparently doesn't know. First he called him Malia, and then he called him Matias Carreras. So I don't think he watches much Pumas games. Hey, I guess we can all get the names wrong every now and again, but yeah, he was doubling down on the wrong names for that one. Colby was really busy, kind of as usual. Mark Talia managed to score 1 for the All Blacks, but he had to kind of come infield to do it, didn't he? But yeah, there you go. Team of the week for week number 1. We await week number 2. You guys let us know your thoughts. Who would you have in your team? Which was the bigger result for you guys? The All Blacks not even getting a losing bonus point against the Pumas at home? Or the Springboks almost nilling the Wallabies at Fortress Brisbane? If not for a few yellow cards, they probably would have nilled them. But yes, you guys take care. Let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.